Giants have banned Lulu in 8 of their 13 games, regardless of sides. And interestingly, H2K have banned Kalista in 9 of their 13 games.
And the weird thing now for this split about H2K, the biggest evolution I've seen for Forgiven as a player is it's now H2K banning 80 carries. It used to be, you know, for SK at the beginning of last year, it was like, oh man, if they ban 3 champions, Forgiven doesn't play anything. Now it's like, Forgiven's like, yeah, just ban the top 3. I've got everything else in my playbook. I can play whatever you need me to, and I'm still going to do as well. So I feel like that's why you're seeing a lot of the Kalista bans, because Forgiven doesn't need to play it and can play so much more.
And H2K play that style, where it's heavily focused around taking towers down. Forgiven's been playing Corki, Lucian, Caitlyn, his most played, and you can see Prolly and Lozak, 2 coaches behind the men. Lulu taken away from Giants, that will be the 9th time in 14 games, regardless of play. GP from H2K, want to deny that to Xpepii, actually had a pretty good performance last week. And finally Lucian as well.
I feel like H2K just leave Kog'Maw open here and say, okay, you pick it, we'll take a 2v2 and I'll crush you. Because that's the mentality. That is the mentality of a player like Forgiven that knows he can win the 2 versus 2 and is not afraid of giving over such a strong pick that has such late game presence but fails so hard in the early game. We saw Sven getting somewhat shut down in the last game, did manage to get into the later game, but honestly I don't think the same situation would happen here if Giants pick Kog'Maw first.
All right, what is available that we're not talking about? Alistair, Nidalee, Corki maybe, something that has been picked a lot on the side of H2K. It was actually first picked yesterday against Fnatic.
Alistair is available. Alistair is not available. It's Braum that is available in this game that wasn't in the last. So just got to keep track of that. Okay, I don't mind that as a first pick. I feel with Nidalee available though, a jungler like Jankos will look at this and go, okay, well I'll take the Nidalee here, and I will just have a lot of presence on the map early game. I wonder what else they go for here, because I don't feel like H2K will get baited into the Kog'Maw pick. I feel like they don't even pick their AD carry here. They may go Braum Nidalee on this rotation. Depends on whether they want to get their hands on something for ODOAMNE as well as a priority.
High priority on Nautilus yesterday, and they're going to copy-paste. So this was their second rotation for H2K after they got Corki on blue side, and it worked out relatively well for H2K yesterday. And they're not revealing anything either. Elise still up, something that Jankos has played an exceptional amount. Most played champion, in fact, 5 games, as well as Nidalee. So, you know, betongjocke is saying, right, pick whatever you want, and Jankos will still most likely be able to outplay him.
They also have the option now of picking up the Gragas should the Kog'Maw go over. I think there's just a lot of picks still available to Jankos, so probably didn't want to rush that Nidalee if he doesn't feel like he has to have such a powerful pick to deal with betongjocke.
Would Forgiven play another game of Kog'Maw? If you've got the protection from Braum, you've got some peel from Nautilus, put Gragas or Nidalee, both can do different ways of helping Kog.
I don't feel like he needs to, is the
okay.
Oh man, he may just look to play Caitlyn here and pick an AD carry that Ezreal can never really hit and has fairly similar strength at points in the game. In the laning phase, Ezreal can't fire Qs at Caitlyn because she just stands behind her minions. We know how much Forgiven does play Kate. He could play the Kog'Maw. That is another option that is available. Looking at other champions that are up. Also, now that Nidalee's been locked in, Jankos has the option for the Elise. Could also pick up something like a Kindred if they want to go the Kog'Maw route of things, and then they'd have a lot of protection for that Kog.
I'd prefer Gragas into all this poke.
That is true.
Giants have got a gigantic alarm bell saying we want to spam skill shots. When a few have hit, we will then do something else. No frontline at all to speak of, but they've got a Poppy that they can throw in there. Atom's also got the potential to run Shen if you want some sort of protection, and instead, Jankos is going to be going to Lee Sin.
I like it though. I don't mind the Lee Sin here in the situation where it's you're picking something to facilitate a little bit more of the early game. I wouldn't be surprised to see Ryu on something like a LeBlanc in this game that kind of curves out the Caitlyn fairly nicely. Nautilus doesn't provide a massive amount of damage. He has a fair amount from the top lane, but it's not the same as a carry from the top. So now you need something to supplement it. They're bringing some of that from their jungle pick with the Lee Sin with his early game presence, and now some of it potentially from that middle lane counter pick. They know it's going to be Corki. Not too many matchups actually are favorable against the Corki, but we'll see exactly what Ryu wants to run.
Yeah, for Giants, supports in top lane as what we're expecting. Atom has played 1 game of Tahm Kench. He actually picked that up as a... no, I take it back. I'm looking at the wrong sheets. He's played no games of Tahm Kench. So this would be a first for Atom.
Oh, and as you say that, it gets changed.
I get ahead of myself. Too excited. But now there's no front line. So Giants, look, quasi-front line from Graves, but non-traditional.
Yeah, he's fairly susceptible, or fairly good at staying alive. The problem is, Giants, as you kind of mentioned, they have no tank, so they can't really take prolonged amounts of damage in a fight. They've got disengage coming from the Janna, and then a lot of poke and siege, which is a tough game to play against H2K, especially now that they've got wave clear coming from the Caitlyn. I expect a similar thing perhaps from Ryu if he doesn't want to opt for the likes of a LeBlanc in this game. But honestly, I feel like Giants are picking themselves into what is a very obvious composition here with the amount of poke that they've got, that H2K will be fairly happy to just play around. But right now we have to see what that mid lane pick is going to be.
That's... Assassin would be very happy into all of these squishy targets from Giants. And Giants are a team that are 2 wins and 11 losses. And they've picked themselves a team composition that looks exceptionally difficult to pull off, because there's not a lot of comeback mechanics, shall we say.
No, there really aren't, and good luck poking when you have no minions. You've got an Ahri, you've got a Caitlyn, both champions that will neutralize the single lane push from Giants.
And they're opting into a poke comp with a first pick Brawl.
Yep, there's that as well.
How did it take me this long to realize the unbreakable? So Vander, if he can position himself between Giants and the rest of his squad, all of the tools for Odo and Jankos to engage will be there. So, I don't know. Early game's going to be so important for Giants to make sure they don't fall behind and don't start to get picked off by this Nautilus, Ahri, Braum combination.
I think the problem here, though, is so Nidalee is very good at clearing her jungle, getting into the enemy jungle. Now you've got to go up against Jankos in his own jungle as Lee Sin, with the potential support coming from the likes of Ahri and Nautilus. If you take a bad skirmish in the early game from betongjocke, this game could just fall completely out of Giants in any respect.
Yeah, it really can. The coach is shaking hands as they walk off stage, and I loved hearing from Bro that final quote or final sections of the video saying, well, if your players fail, it's because the coach, or he feels, did not find a way to explain what they could do. You guys at home, see if you agree with him. Hit us up on Twitter at LOL Esports with that hashtag H2KWin if they will tie up G2 Esports at the top of the table, or hashtag GIA win if you think Giants will pull off the biggest upset of the spring split. Stress, the flags are lit side by side, but they could not be further apart as far as the teams are concerned. H2K right at the top of the table, and Giants trying to claw their way out from the bottom.
I'm gonna say something that might shock you, Trevor, but this is somewhat of an improvement from Giants, and I'll back that up by saying they've come in and said, we don't know what play style we want to play, we don't know how we want to play. Well, they've told the world how they want to play in this game. They want to play poke, and they want to see if it works for them. I tentatively will ask you to stretch your mind back to last year and remember the blue build Ezreal games that Adryh had, a handful of the games that Giants actually won in the summer split. Saying that, I don't think it's enough to beat H2K in this setting, but it is an improvement of mindset from Giants having a clear game plan.
And I think it is a fair statement that Xpepii's Lux last week or week before last was his standout performance in the laning phase. Got a decent CS advantage in a matchup that he could do well. We know Ryu will do fine once he gets to level 6, but he's got to get to level 6, and the Observer's taking us on a walk of wards as we're scanning across both sides of the rift. I think you could say vision advantage H2K. Maybe they've got it a little deeper, but they need to spot champions, and that's not been the case just yet.
I'm always wondering what we're looking for at this. I'm like, are they actually there? Are they not? Because I know sometimes the observers actually just bait us, and they're just showing us nobody behind the wall. But there we see Giants crossing through, and this situation, you can see H2K have locked themselves into the standard lanes here. They've got the Lee Sin down here as well. Jankos even gets himself the Krugs. Takes a lot of damage for it, though.
Yeah, and he does. Adryh was trying to get some autos down, but small advantage to Jankos stealing away at least a camp. We'll see if that holds true, if he can actually clear his jungle. We know how effective Nidalee is at clearing the waves, and we're setting ourselves into standard lane, Stress.
Yep.
So, toe-to-toe, and we'll see who's going to get the early advantage.
So this is pretty good from Giants with the way that they got the information early. betongjocke not only has the information that his support got, that Lee Sin was on the bottom side, they had a ward on red anyway, just to see whether he was starting top side. So it means betongjocke has the ability now to go into the top side jungle, take away the buff, and Jankos didn't do the same on the lower side. So it means betongjocke will end up with a 3-buff start if Jankos doesn't read what's up and heads bottom side.
Yeah. Timing on Jankos, he's low on HP, so it will be risky. And we caught a glimpse of Xpepii eating a charm at level 2. So that's already a decent enough start for Ryu, especially if he can find Xpepii multiple times. But it is Flash Exhaust Corki into Flash Ignite Ryu.
Yes, the 1-6 is pretty difficult for Ahri against the Corki matchup, especially with how easy you can proc Thunderlords. Just turn on that Gatling gun, and if they're within range, you basically instantly get it. Jankos is behind the play here on his own jungle. Very rare that you see this, but H2K were going for a bit of a different start with having Jankos start down on the bottom side. I think they were expecting to be in a lane swap, but then kind of locked themselves into the 2v2, so Jankos is having to manage with this. We're going to have junglers clashing. Bottom side here. Look at betongjocke's pathing. Look at where Jankos is. He will, however... Oh, this is risky.
This is scary indeed.
Oh, he so very nearly saw that he was on the Raptors.
Smite and Flash available for Jankos. betongjocke is going to see...
He's rumbled.
The Bramble back is available. Does not find a target with the Javelin toss, and Ryu was already moving. He actually pulled in. Jankos is somewhat disappointed on the player cam. But there is the 3-buff start that we talked about, and Jankos with a very, very late blue buff. It'll be interesting.